We've had a number of projects happening on the farm, actually while I've been gone. Mark and a new guy who has been with us for a month named Saba have been putting all this stuff together. So today I'm going to show you some of the projects that they've been working on and introduce you to Saba. He's actually on his way back to Montreal, which is where he's originally from, and he's going to be heading over to Jean Martin's farm at Les Fermes du Catatemps to work with them next year. So pretty exciting stuff there. And let's start with explaining what this is all about. So this grow wall is from a company called Vicinity, and I've had this wall for a while. In fact, I had a different incarnation of it in my nursery, and we had that there last winter and part of the spring. We kept it up all summer, but we finally took it down and amalgamated it with all of this. So this isn't entirely done. We've still got some more pots to put in there, but it's mostly done, at least finished enough that I can explain to you how this whole thing works. So in each of these, on each of these, there's these aluminum racks that are holding all of this, and there are these grow pots. And in that pot is a little sack of soil. Right now we've got basil in there, and I'm not sure that the basil is going to work. I'm kind of skeptical. We should have planted it earlier. You know, we're going into fall now, and I don't know how well that basil is going to be able to hold as the nights get cold. I mean, we do have heat in this greenhouse, but it's not that significant. So it's an experiment, but you know what? If the basil doesn't work out, we'll try something else in there. But mainly, it'll be early next spring that we'll be able to load this up with some kind of crop. And so I'll definitely try basil again early spring. Like I probably have started in transplants, say early March, get it in here maybe mid-March, or maybe I could even start it late February. Get it in here mid-March and be picking by April. That would be really cool to give us a really extended basil season. But anyways, this is how this whole thing works. So we've got these aluminum racks, which these pots are connected to, and then we've got a poly tubing line along the top, and then we've got these little drip emitters in here that go into each pot, and when you turn this on, it all just drips through. And the neat thing about the sacks is that the water kind of absorbs around them, so it gets into the soil really well, and it drips through each one, eventually just dripping down at the bottom. And right now it's just dripping onto the ground, which I don't like actually. We're gonna fix that, because I don't want an excess of water going on my ground in here into the winter. It's just going to have too much down here. So what we're actually gonna do is run a rain gutter type thing along the bottom of this to catch all that water. And we'll run it at like a 1 or 2 degree slope, and it'll run all the way down here, and we'll just have some kind of catchment down there, some kind of bin that will recirculate the water back through the irrigation. And so that's originally how this thing worked. It's just that I didn't have, when I got my original system, it was a lot smaller, and so I had these little catchments at the bottom of it. Would connect 2 or 3 pots, and then you have this little filter pump type thing that pumps the water back through and recirculates it. So that's what we're going to do to irrigate this. That way the water doesn't keep collecting down on the bottom there. So now that we're going back into winter, but we keep production going year-round here on our farm, we've brought all the post-harvest infrastructure, not all of it, but basically what we need back into this greenhouse. So in the winter, this is like a farming spaceship where we've got production happening with our microgreens and nursery. Still got some paper pot transplanter spinach to go out into a caterpillar tunnel, but they brought the walk-in cooler back in here, and then the greens drying infrastructure. So this screen actually stays here. We have a different one outside. We brought one of the spinners back in here. I mean, we're doing less product, so we only need one, whereas in the summer 2 is really needed to keep the amount of volume that we have going. And then we brought the bubbler back in here for washing the greens, and then we've we keep this washing table in here. We have a better one outside, but we've got all this stuff back in here, and then we've brought all the packing stuff, all the bags, the scales, everything that we're doing on a weekly basis is all back in here. Our computer with printer for printing invoices and labels, that's all back in here. What's happening on the farm right now too is that our days to maturity for our microgreens are now longer than they were in the summer, quite significantly longer. So we've changed our planting schedule. And one of my students that was here for our August workshop stuck around for a little while. So he paid for the workshop and he has stuck around for the month and has been helping us on the farm. He actually helped us change some things on the microgreen operation. So Saba is from Montreal originally, and he does microgreens, his little microgreens business in Montreal as well, an indoor operation. So he's been a real help with keeping this under wraps and getting this production a little bit more dialed in. He's staged our production for us, which has been really helpful. Instead of us just planting everything on one day, we've been kind of staging certain crops on certain days and so on and so forth to adjust to their days to maturity so that they all arrive at the same day to harvest. So I'm going to find him and introduce you guys to him. All right, there he is.
Hey there. Hello YouTube. Bonjour tout le monde.
See, Saba speaks French. It's actually not your native language though.
No, it's not. I was born and raised in Iran, and I immigrated to Canada when I was 16, 17, and I've been living in all over Canada for the last 10
But
years.
you've been living in Montreal for a while, hey?
4 years now.
It's funny because when a person, I mean, this is what Saba told me, is that when a person when their native language isn't English, they'll pick up the accent of wherever they are.
True.
And when I first met him, because I lived in Montreal for around 8 years, when I first met him, I was like, you know, he sounds like a real Montrealer because he's got like this French / English accent, but you just picked that up because it wasn't your native language.
I guess I'm pretty sure if I would have moved to England or New Zealand or Australia, I would have picked up their accent.
Right, right.
It's not my mother tongue. So
yeah.
you know,
So
you just get adapted to the
that's right.
new environment.
So how has it been here? You know, I've actually been gone for a lot of the time you've been here.
Yeah.
I've been in and out.
It was actually nice that he was gone because we could do other things that he doesn't do.
Yeah, so you've been working with Mark and...
yeah, it's been a great journey actually. A month and a half or so, I would say, including the 2 weeks that I was here during the workshop.
Yep.
We were able to get a few things done before the winter, before it gets too cold, including this green wall.
Yep.
And we put a lot of cat tunnels up.
That's right.
Farmer's friend stuff.
Yep.
And then the farm is just pumping greens, so we're business as usual, you know, harvesting, planting, packing stuff pretty much every week.
Yep, totally.
Yep.
And you were running a microgreens business for a while in Montreal, hey?
Well, not initially. Like I've been doing this for the last 4 years. I remember back in 2013, I landed a really good job in Montreal. I was working as a technical trainer for a manufacturer of world-class sound engineering equipment, and it was, to a lot of people, it was a dream job because my job was to basically play around with a really cool range of sound gear and then teach people how to use it.
Yeah.
And then to make it even better, I convinced my boss that I would be more productive working from home. So he let me do that, and then from there everything started just getting interesting because I had a lot of free time on hand, and then I started watching like documentaries and reading books, and I kind of started educating myself about this main global issues, like about food, health, climate change, economic crisis, and stuff like that. So, and then I thought to myself, well, I really want to be part of it. I don't really feel like being part of the problem, and I want to do something about it. So then I looked at my skills and I was like, well, I don't really have hard skills. Like I could teach you how to mix or record a live jazz band at a concert or at a festival using a really high-tech gear, but I wouldn't be able to like grow any plants to eat or feed myself. So
it sounds like a similar story, doesn't it?
it does, I think. Yeah, yeah, we certainly have that in common. So anyway, I think I just at some point I remembered Gandhi's famous quote that says, if you want to see change, be the change yourself. So I kind of had to let that sink in and think about what I wanted to do. And then I thought that I would start with food, because I believe that if you want to make any change, you can change with the food that you put in your body. So I basically started reducing my meat consumption. I'm by no means a vegetarian or a vegan, but there were a couple of things that I started doing, and then it wasn't enough for me. So I kind of decided to try growing some of my own food. And then I looked at my context and the environment that I was in. So I realized that, well, I lived in a really dense, populated area like in Montreal. And we don't really have front yards or backyards to grow food on, and the cold climate doesn't help our situation either. So I said, okay, maybe I should look into indoor crops. And in order for this to work properly and have like constant supply of food, I basically had to find something that I could grow indoors, something that didn't take too much space or too much time to grow. And I wanted to grow something with a high nutritional value and something that I could just get started with, not spending too much money, like for building infrastructure and stuff like that. So the answer was microgreens, because they're super easy to grow, and they take like 2 to 3 weeks to harvest, and they're the most nutritious crops that you can ever eat. So, and you can kind of start with less than $100 in your kitchen counter or on a shelf, kind of at home. So it had started from there, and then I kind of in 2 weeks I was just eating my own fresh cut microgreens in my salad, and then from there it just took off. I started growing for my friends and my colleagues and some restaurants around my neighborhood, and that was when I think you had just launched your book.
Okay.
And I heard about it. I had never watched any of your videos, and I just heard about it. I was like, okay, cool, he's coming to Montreal, so let's go and meet him. And that's
right.
where we met.
Yeah, so yeah, we met. That was like, was that the one where Jean Martin was there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I did a talk in Montreal, and that's when I met Saba. And then it was like the next year we connected about my the workshop coming here. Yeah,
exactly.
And then you came here and spent some time with us, and that's pretty much it. So it's Saba's actually last night here. We're having a little party for him over at Roger's place. Roger's going to be pouring cocktails and having a good time. And then you're going tomorrow back to Montreal. And then what's next?
Well, I had to let go of that job because I got too busy growing for restaurants and kind of CSA program, weekly bags of microgreens and stuff for my clients, and that's basically what I ended up doing before coming here. So I quit my job. I said, okay, I don't have time for this anymore. I got to dive, head first, both feet in, and just do this as my full-time job.
Yep.
And so after here, the plan is to go on Jean Martin's farm in Hemingford, Quebec.
Yep.
And hopefully I can join their team and create some value there, and take it from there and see. I'm still looking for a piece of land to be able to start my own micro farm, but I think my main focus is going to be on culinary farming side, like growing really specialty crops for chefs, and kind of making connections with certain restaurants, and kind of snatching that part of the market
nice.
Wherever I will be.
Yeah,
so.
But you still got another exciting year of just learning and figuring stuff out.
Certainly, I'm super excited for that.
What's some of the biggest stuff you've learned while you've been here, whether it was in my workshop or you've been at the farm?
I think the workflow, that's one of the most important things, and I think if you can kind of dial your workflow and kind of be aware of how much time you're actually spending to do a particular task. You can optimize your time and tasks really well. And I think the biggest takeaway from working here for a while was to kind of zoom out of my own body and kind of watch myself do things and kind of time myself to kind of try improving every single task that I was doing, and kind of get things faster done, especially the things that you don't really like to do around the farm. And so you can get into like building stuff and do all exciting things.
And I'm just gonna add, if you guys want to check some of the stuff out, Saba makes these great Instagram videos, and I'll make sure to share his Instagram in the bottom of the YouTube video here. Check out his Instagram. You can follow him. You know, he'll be on another adventure up at JM's farm, and you'll see a whole new series of other stuff then.
There's a lot of, I try to post a lot of pictures of the food that I actually make for myself, or my friend, or for my friends, with the things that I grow myself. This is just to give you a simple idea of that. It's actually not that difficult or complicated to start growing some of our own food and have it, you know, kind of have it in our daily meals.
Right.
So you can live a really healthy diet and live like kings, you know.
And eat fresh year round.
I always say farmers eat like kings. So.
Exactly.
That's right.
So that's awesome. So I'll make sure you guys, those of you who are in Quebec might want to connect with Saba. I'll have his Instagram below, and if you guys want to connect with him, you can do that. But we've got a party to get ready to go to.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
We're gonna head over to Roger's place. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here. It's just fantastic.
My pleasure. All right.